Hi, art students. It's time for another week of art work. And first, let's start off with Godzilla of the Week. We haven't had a vote lately. I've just been showing you the Godzillas, mainly because I'm running out of Godzillas. So we're not going to have a a survey to vote for the next one. I'm just going to find one that I haven't shown you yet, and I'm just going to show you next week. So next week it'll be a surprise Godzilla. But for this week, it's old school Rodan. So Rodan, you may know from the new Godzilla, I think it's King of the Monsters movie, and he looks really cool in that. But old school Rodan's kind of, he doesn't look as exciting as the new Rodan, but I like him. Okay, so here he is. So this is the old school Rodan, and he might look goofy to you compared to the new awesome Rodan, but this is like the Rodan from the 1960s. How many years ago is that? It's like 60 years ago. And he was pretty cool for back in the day. Nowadays he's kind of goofy, but he's endured to my heart. Now the cool thing about this model is the Japanese sculptors who were really passionate about Godzilla, and they wanted this to not only look like Rodan, but they wanted it to look like the special effect suit that the actor had to wear. So there was an actor who actually had to wear this thing. There's no computers back then. They didn't have computers. They didn't have computer animation back then. So it was a guy in a suit, and he would wear this suit. His head was probably like right here. You can almost kind of see a bulge where like the guy's head would be. He probably had two little eye holes there. But the cool thing about this model is, check this out. Oh, and only I will appreciate this. You won't. Maybe you will. Look at this. Look how they got these creases. These creases on the wings. Right here. These creases. That was like, they probably had to tie down like I don't know what it was, what kind of fabric. It wasn't fabric, it was like a kind of like a plastic, maybe like a like a leathery suit, and so it was getting in the way, so they had to like tie it down. They had to bunch it up. So that's kind of hilarious that they included that in the model kit. They could have just made it more natural, but they're like, no, no. They probably had the suit to look at, or they had photographs, and they're like, oh, look at that, it bunches down there. Let's make it super accurate, and they did. So that's kind of funny that they did that. I think that's kind of neat. This is probably a giant seam. I can't even. Where am I? This is probably a big seam where they had to attach the wings, stuff like that. So, but they were very careful to be accurate, like the original movie prop. And back in the '60s, this was pretty cool stuff. But nowadays, it's pretty. Here's his feet. His feet are kind of cool. This is like a dude. This is like a dude wearing that suit. So, anyways. But boy, when you're an 8-year-old watching Rodan fight Godzilla, like me, you didn't care about the cheesy effects. It was pretty awesome. And very artistic. A lot of texture and a lot of, they had to come up with this idea and make it happen and film it, and they had like no budget. They had like no money to make that movie. So anyways, those kinds of man in suit things, you can kind of see them in Power Rangers, although you guys may not even like Power Rangers. Power Rangers was even before your time. So, but anyways, that was the Godzilla of the week. So now let's get on to the actual art part of the video. Hi students, fourth graders to be exact. I have a different video format for today. I want to show you some examples of the artwork we're going to be working on. And here, I'll just zoom in on one. I'm using Photoshop if you really want to know. And our project is going to be called Taking a Fish for a Walk. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a super detailed medieval style drawing that's very fantastical, like dreamlike. And here's some great examples. This is going to be a 3-week project, so don't be in a hurry. We'll actually finish this the week after Christmas break, so we got some time to work on this. Okay, I'm going to talk about it today, and we're like barely going to kind of start drawing it, and then next week we'll draw more carefully, and we'll add some details, and we'll also learn about patterns. So like some of this details look really complicated and hard, but I'm going to try to help you. I'm going to show you how to do patterns, and I'll probably show them to you today, and then we'll deal more with them next week, and or maybe the third week. But I'll show you how to draw those patterns, and that will help you. Checkerboards are easy to do though, so you'll see checkerboards and lines and stuff like that. But anyways, we have 3 weeks to work on this. This project is called Taking a Fish for a Walk, and that's just um, that just means it's like a very dream-like drawing, and we're going to use a lot of texture, patterns, and detail. And we're going to draw it in black and white. We're not going to paint it like these. We're just going to draw it in black and white. So it'll be a real interesting black and white drawing. Okay, well, let's look at some of these drawings first. So this is by an artist named James Christensen, and he was really popular for these really fun, very fun fantasy paintings. And these are a little different than what we're going to do, but like this one's my favorite right here. Like check this one out. I'm going to zoom in on it. This guy, he's like a peasant. He's like a very tired peasant. And he's got this cool hedgehog bag. This is one of the few examples where there's actually a fish being taken for a walk. We're gonna have a lot of fish, but this is my favorite. This hedgehog, I think it's a hedgehog bag. He's got all these bags. He's got these birds and the cat, all these. But look at these cool. There's here. Do I have an arrow to show you with? This is the best arrow. Here you can kind of see. There's like this. He's got this like fabric, and it's got these stripes. He's got stripes here, so a lot of stripes. Not a lot of no checkers on this one. Look, all these keys he has, so a lot of interesting details. He's got all these little people, all these people like riding him in a little boat. So anyways, a lot of fun. And that's what this is going to be. It's kind of like you can make any kind of detail, any kind of animals, or it has to be fun, you know. Keys, pouches, hats, capes, you know, fish. We're going to focus on the fish, but you can do other animals if you want, right? Anyways, this one's my favorite. Okay, let's scroll over. Let's look at this one. This one, he's just like a peasant. He's a peasant. He's got all these bags. He's like overburdened. He's got so much stuff to carry. And he's got all these different colors, like his pants are like, so this pants has stripes. This one has stripes, but then also has these beads. This sock has stripes. So a lot of different patterns. Here's a real fancy pattern. But anyways, a lot of this one's kind of like a checkerboard. It's not really a checkerboard. But a lot of interesting details and a lot of packs and bags. Here's some fish. He's got a hint of fish here. Okay, let's see what else. I think I have a third one up here. Let's see this one. Oh yeah, this one's okay. This one's like a Napoleon. So this one's like a funny Napoleon one. Here he's got a little servant guy. But here you can see the checkerboard patterns. So checkerboards are kind of easy to do. So I'm sure you'll have checkerboard. Here he's got checkerboard on his shirt. He's got it on his sock. But then he's got like all of these like I guess they're like medals or awards. He doesn't have a lot. Like Napoleon normally has a ton of medals, right? He's got this fish. And a lot of detail. This guy he has some stripes. He's got this hat. He's got like, looks like he's got like 3 coats on. So these guys have a lot of stuff. And so I can't emphasize enough that it's important to include all of this stuff in your drawing, right? Okay, let's see. So those are the painting examples. Let's look at an example Mrs. Hamady did a long time ago. She was the previous art teacher. Maybe your parents remember her. Let's see. Would you remember her? If you're And so you're in fourth grade. Yeah, you might have remembered Mrs. Hamady from kindergarten or maybe even first grade. You might remember her, right? Anyways, this is an example she did. So this is a drawing she did, and I'll show you my example next time. So we'll just look at her example for this time, and you'll notice that it's very busy with lots of detail and don't worry if this looks really hard to draw. We're going to start simple. So we start simple, and then we add details, and then we add details, and we add details, and then eventually it looks like this. Okay? So don't worry if this looks really hard to do. But let's look to see what she has. We're going to kind of copy her general shape, and then you can add all of your fish and animals or whatever you want to do, birds, whatever you want to add. I'll let you. Okay? So, but it just has to have a lot of patterns and textures. So you can see she has a lot of black stripes. She has these diamonds, right? And then even the fish will have stripes, zigzags. This one's kind of like scales, stripes, a lot of detail. And then Mrs. Hamady also added feathers, ribbons, a lot of difficult things. But I'm going to try to help you so that it won't be that hard. Okay, and then you can print out some of these examples too. So I didn't send these examples home with you because it'd be too much to manage. You can just watch the video, and you can watch me in the upcoming weeks because we're going to work on this for 3 weeks, right? But I'll show you different patterns you can make, and then you can apply them as you want. But if you really want to see, if you want to print them out and you have a printer at home, you can print some of them out. You don't have to, but I will put them in Canvas so that you can just print out some of these pictures, and you can kind of see what Mrs. Hamady did, and you can see some of the patterns. So like here's some of the patterns. Some of these are hard. So let's look at some of the easy ones first. Like this one. This one's not so hard. So here you can see it's kind of like a step-by-step way to do it. So you start with just this grid pattern, and then you fill one in, and then you have to fill in all the others, and then you add dots in the empty. So, so it's step by step. So you can print, we'll talk about this in the upcoming weeks. This one's like a spider web, kind of hard to do. But again, step by step. So you start with an X, right? And then you add a plus. Then you connect them on the edges. And then you just add, you connect it like a spider web, you'll add. So I'll show you how to draw these. But anyways, we have, then some of these are hard, like look at this one. It's like, woo, this one's hard. Oh my gosh, this one's super hard. But it starts simple enough. You got these dots. Oh my gosh, then you got these lines. So we'll talk about this, but then look how complicated. But if you can do it, because that's hard to do. But if you challenge yourself, right? Here's just some zigzags. Okay, but we'll learn more about that in the upcoming weeks. Let's see, do I want to show you? I'll show you more patterns next time. But for now, we kind of have an idea that we're going to make a real detailed person with a lot of, you can have a lot of bags, or you can have a lot of, like she's got like all kinds of patterns on her cloak. You can have like you can have a cape, you can have bags, you can have different hats. We're going to do one hat. I'll probably do a couple hats. You can do a lot of hats, a lot of fish. Okay, so we're going to start drawing it today. And then next week, we will continue to draw it. And I'll show you, excuse me, different kinds of details you can add and different ways to draw fish, because usually when students draw fish, they draw them too simple, right? So I'll show you how you can try to draw fancier fish to look more interesting, give you different ideas, and then you can apply that to your drawing. And then we'll start talking about patterns, and then the third week, which will be like after Christmas, then we'll really focus on all these patterns, okay, and all these details, and and then we're going to ink it. We're going to ink it too. So it's more than drawing, you're going to ink it. Okay, so let's see here. I think it's time to start drawing. So, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a real detailed drawing, and I'm going to help show you a basic drawing to begin with, but you can change it. So I'll make it kind of simple enough where you could change it in different ways. Okay, but the hard part is kind of putting it on the page. So we're going to do that right now. So let's see. Let me get my tripod, and we will start. We're going to start drawing. No, don't do that. Huh. Well. Okay. Whoa. Okay, let's start drawing. So, oh, I gotta lower this because I'm gonna be loud. Okay, let's start drawing. So what we're gonna do is you have a big blank piece of paper, and it's big. It's so big that my camera doesn't show it all. But we want to draw very large. This is about the top of the paper right here. And you want to fill the page. You don't want to draw a real small person. You want to draw a pretty big person because we want to fill the whole page. Whoa, I hit the camera, haha. And we want to fill the whole page. And it's important to like not draw a very tiny person, all right? Okay, so first, now we're gonna draw very lightly. So what do I mean by that? Meaning, don't press down super hard and draw dark. Like here, I'll show you. This is dark. It's like this. Like that's dark. That's too dark. Okay, focus. Then this is drawing lightly, where it's kind of like, wow, that focus. Really focus. Anyways, draw lightly. Why? Because then you can erase it easily. Whereas this, I cannot erase easily. It's hard. And if you make mistakes and you do it lightly, it's easy to erase and it's like no problem. But if you draw real hard, like that's like the typical thing to do is to draw really hard. Don't do that. You're gonna draw lightly. So how do you draw lightly? You ask. Like, what does it feel like? Like I'm barely holding it. It's like I'm not gripping it. I'm like barely holding my pencil, and I'm like, it's like barely like it's like it could almost like don't let it fall out of your hand, and hold it a little more so it doesn't fall out of your hand. But it's like try holding your pencil so that like your pencil is like gonna fall out of your hand. You're like barely pressing it down, and it barely draws. That's drawing lightly. Whereas normally you would draw like really hard, like that. Can you see the difference? I know you can. So, no, yes, right? So lightly. Okay. Lightly. Draw lightly. You're good. Don't draw hard. Okay, here we go. So let's start with a circle. That's going to be for our face. Now remember, if we draw lightly, you can change the shape of your face later. But for now, let's see. Oh, and where do you want, here's a small example I'll show you. So imagine this is your big paper. Notice how he's not right in the middle. He's not in the middle. He's like to the left a little bit. He's like over here. Not totally on the left. He's like here's the center. I'm hitting my camera. Here's the center, and he's pushed over to the left a little bit. Why? Because we need room for all of our fish, right? We need room for all of our fish and animals. We could put some more over here, but we need room over here too. So he's not totally in the center. He's like pushed over, okay? The reason why I showed you that is because I can't show you my whole paper. I can't show you that he's on the left. So I'm going to draw him. So first we're going to start with a circle for his head. Remember, draw lightly. I'm going to draw a little more darker than lightly because it's on a screen and you need to be able to see it better, but you draw super lightly. Later we'll trace it and change it and then you can get a little darker, but for now, for the first part of the drawing, super light, super light. Okay, so I'm going circle. Let's see. That's still pretty light. Okay. Light, circle. Then his body is gonna, well, and it can be a him or a her. So like we're gonna draw it and then you can make it a girl or a boy later, right? But for now, we're just doing basic shapes to kind of help us get the stuff in. So like it can look like a boy or a girl later. Okay, anyways, so let's start with the body. The body, it's mostly like a head and a body. And the body's kind of like a triangle, so let me show you. So I'm gonna draw, make it curve a little. So it's kind of curved like that. Now that's not the body, that's the front of the body. And then it's going to be like a triangle, like they're wearing like a kind of a big cloak, and it's going to be kind of, I'll show you. And it's kind of blowing in the wind, and then it kind of curves down like a bell. You're like, oh, okay. So that's the body. That's the starting point. Like we can change it. You can add another cape. You can add whatever you want. But for now, we're just going to start with this, okay? Then we need some kind of hat. Now they had weird hats in medieval times. So let's just draw it like this. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a Dutch shoe. Do you know what that looks like? It looks like hair almost. It looks like a boat maybe. I don't know, it kind of curves and then it kind of goes to a point and then comes down. But draw lightly. We can always change that a shape, like if you don't like it. I'm gonna add like a bunch of hats. Like I'm gonna add one here. You can maybe add like you can add like add a bunch of hats. So like you can add a wizard's hat on top. You don't, whatever you want. A top hat. Top hat's not medieval, but heck, if you want to do it, it's fine. Okay, so now we need the shoe. So the shoe is going to be like a long, pointy elf or jester shoe. So it's going to be like right about here. It's kind of curved. Now don't worry if your drawing is like not exactly perfect, right? And it's going to curve. It's going to go kind of like it's going to be like an elf or jester shoe. Okay, then we're going to connect it. It's going to go, and it's going to go up here. If you make the sound effects when you draw, it helps you. I promise you. Okay, now if you want, you probably want to put a little bell, a circle. You don't have to. Okay, and then let's connect it. Let's connect it so like his foot would be like here. Or well, it's not his foot, it's his leg. So you can see a little bit of his like leg. Like he's got this kind of big cloak or dress if it's a girl, cloak if it's a guy, or whatever. He's got a little bit of leg or a little bit, it's like his ankle. And he's got this big shoe. Now, but what we want to do is we want to add the other foot behind it. So we want to add the other foot. The problem is this big shoe is in front of it. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to draw part of this shoe. Boy, that autofocus, man. I don't like you, autofocus. We're going to draw another part of a shoe right here, kind of the back of the shoe. So it's going to look like this. It's going to look like this part. Man, autofocus, I'm so sad. It's going to look like that. And then it's going to be like that. So it's kind of like, it's almost like this one's stepping up to the shoe. And then this is the front, this is the one in front, and this one's like you can only see part of it. So you can imagine like this long part is like under here, and you kind of can't see it very well. Like, I mean, maybe we could draw part of this here, but it's almost too confusing to draw. I mean, you could if you really want to, but we could just imagine that this is maybe kind of behind this and you can't really see it. But we do want to draw the ankle, so it's going to be here. This is kind of like that's the foot he's walking, right? So this is the foot that's forward. This one's he's kind of taking a step. Okay, looks like they're like a sled. Okay, so now we need an arm. So it's gonna be very similar in shape to this bell shape. So it's gonna start right about here, and it's just gonna go down, and then it's gonna kind of go out, and like that. I kind of made it a little too long. You don't want to make the arm too long. There. And then we want to do a little bit of skinny arm. And then for now, we're going to do a light circle for the hand. Now later we'll try to draw fingers and stuff like that. Like we'll do that next week. And we'll try to make this look a little more like a hand. But for now, that's pretty good. It's like a cartoon hand. It's good. Now we want to have the other arm out that's holding the leash for all of the fish. And so you want to kind of imagine, okay, where's your shoulder here? Here's on my shoulder, and that's kind of like where the arm goes out. So it's going to go like that. And then again, it's going to have this kind of bell shape. It's kind of like a long sleeve, and then it kind of goes like that, right? And then again, you're going to have a little, try not to make it too long. Like, looks like I made mine too long. Little bit of an arm here, and then it's not a perfect circle. It's kind of like a little longer. It's like an oval. That'll fit our hand shape better. But that's that. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now we need some kind of hair. Now, believe it or not, I'm going to draw the hair. It's going to look like a girl or a boy. Back in medieval times, guys had long hair too. Maybe not as long as girls, but it can kind of go either way. So watch this. It's going to be, again, it's going to be, well, here, I'll show you. We'll go right here. So first it's going to be like this. Right? So like you can imagine, oh yeah, this is like where the face is going to be. And then this is like the hair. And then we want to curve it out. So it can curve it out like that. Kind of like an S. So like, and then we're going to kind of make it come back. And then we're going to connect it to the head, right? So it's going to go doo. Now that's kind of short. So that could be hair for a guy, a boy. If you want to do longer hair for a girl, you can do it. You're like, I'm doing a girl. I want to do longer hair. That's fine. Like you could, here, I'll draw it on, here's my test paper. So like if I have a circle here, and I want to do a girl, and I want to do super long hair, it could be like this. I don't know. You could do it however you want. Let's see, I can go, ooh. Right? I can make it kind of go like over the shoulder. You could even have fun with it. You could have like little tangles, right? You can make it up. Maybe you want to have another bit of hair, like you can have like little strands of hair. Maybe you want to have curls. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. That's kind of hard. Um, maybe let's see. Can we do straight hair? Let's see. Yeah. So it's up to you. Boy hair. If you don't want, if you're a boy, if you want to do a boy and you don't want it to be that long, you could probably, I don't know, you could probably trim it. Probably just, this would look more like a boy, and then I could erase it. Now remember, I drew lightly, so it's easier to. Yeah, that totally looks like a boy. But boys had long hair. It's up to you. You're like, oh yeah, it looks cool. Can I have a curl here? Sure, I don't care. Anyways, that's okay. So that's the beginning, and then let's see, what else do we want to draw for today? If you want, like, we could have another cape. I like to have more than one thing that they're wearing. So like this is optional, but I like to have another cape, and it's just gonna look as simple as this. It's gonna be like, it's gonna connect here. Actually, I'm gonna go like this. It's gonna go here, right? And then it kind of comes down, right? But you don't want to go past this because you want to be able to see that. So it's going to go like, it could be low, it could be like that. Okay, and then it's going to come out. It's going to go. So it's like a cloak or a cape on top of his cloak or whatever, and then this will just come back. Right, and then you can erase this. Ooh, shaky cam. There you go, that was easy. Totally easy. And then if you want, you can add a third one. You can do as much stuff as you want. The whole point of this project is a lot of details, a lot of bags and sacks. He can have a belt. So it's because if he has a belt, he can have packs, right? Okay, so his belt, her belt would be right about here, right? And then it would kind of come here too. So these are optional, these details. Like maybe you're like, I don't want a belt. That's fine. You don't have to draw it. The main part was this part. That's the main part. Everything else I'm showing you is extra. Okay, so a bag is going to be just like a big kind of rectangle. Now, to draw a bag, you're going to go like this. There's a little flap. So start with kind of a rounded square, and then you've got a rounded flap. So that's like that, like you like to open it, you peel it up, right? And then you're going to put a button there. Now that's the easy way, but we can add more detail later. Now, remember, our guys had a lot of bags, so he could have like another bag here. It's like the cape is kind of hiding it. If you want, I'm going to put another bag here. He's going to have another bag right here. In fact, it's going to come out. And then he's got a thing here. He could have a belt buckle. It could even be bigger. Usually belt buckles are bigger than, right? I can erase. Actually, that looks pretty good. You can do. We'll add details to this later. You can add another hat. So let's say, let's see, what was the original sample? Well, I can't find it. So another hat might be. It could be a jester hat. I'm gonna go draw another hat first. So it could just be like kind of a rounded hat. Ooh, I kind of like that. That might be part of this hat. Okay, then I'm gonna have. He could have like a wizard's hat. It would be like a triangle. I'm gonna do a jester hat. So it's gonna be like. Notice how I made it curve and bend, and then it's kind of gonna go here. Now you can make your jester, if you do a jester hat, you can make it go any way, but you have to have big tap. Ooh, that wasn't big enough. Let's see here. Maybe you didn't want to do that. Maybe you're like, I just want to do like, I can do like another hat here, and then I want to do like a wizard's hat. Right? Like, yeah. Maybe I want to have a couple wizard's hats. That might be weird. That might be weird. Just do one. Another thing we can do is You can do like a cuff. A cuff is like where, I don't know, it folds over. That's kind of an easy thing to do. Here's a trick. Let me show you a drawing trick since I have your attention. Notice how my belt line goes right here. But I want to draw my cuff line. It kind of looks like my cuff line would go right there. The problem is that's kind of confusing to look at. It's like, is that the belt or is that the cuff line? So artists, big shot artists, will intentionally not draw the line perfectly lined up there. Like they'll either A, make it a little higher or a little lower than the other line so they're not confusing. I'm going to make mine a little lower. There, see? That way it's less confusing. That's something I can teach you right now. So it looked like, to be honest though, it looked like that line should have gone right where the belt was. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So that's a common art thing when you're drawing line art. Okay, do we have enough detail for today? Probably. You can come up with different, we haven't even drawn any fish yet. We'll draw fish next week. It's up to you. What else can I draw? Oh, the nose. Let's not draw the face yet. We'll draw those more details next week. For now, let's focus on the basic shapes. Now, keep your paper safe. Keep it handy. Don't throw it away. Just put it in your bookshelf or give it to a parent to say, hey, I'm working on this for 3 weeks. Can you hold on to it for me? You can add some more packs. You can draw some more capes. You can draw some more. You can have a pack. You can have another belt here, right underneath his arm. Remember, draw lightly though. It's up to you. But for now, I'll show you how to draw the face and the eyes and the hands, and we'll draw more detail next week, and then we'll talk about fish, drawing basic shapes for the fish. But we got like 3 weeks to work on this, so we got a lot of time to work on this and add details. So today we just started our drawing and we talked about it. Next week we'll spend the whole time drawing, and then we'll talk about inking and adding patterns and stuff like that. So that's it. So I hope you had fun, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.